So good morning, Misha. Today we have Misha Sakharoff from Copenhagen, who is an inquisitive researcher about human health. And I heard about, Misha, I heard about you from a lady that was participating in this Healing Testimonials project. She healed from epilepsy by after she met you and she did your program, and she praised your system a lot and for her it was a turning point. So thank you for coming and for sharing your knowledge. And I wanted to ask you, did you have your own personal story with disease, with a chronic condition, with unease in the body?
First, I want to thank you for allowing me to share the story.
My pleasure.
And I'm always very grateful when I hear that people refer to me and want to tell their personal stories of healing. That's basically a part of the meaning of life for me.
That's right.
To show people the way. One of the ways, because you have to, when you are an inquisitive health researcher, I'm quoting you,
Yeah.
then you have to remain open for there's some other paths exist.
Right.
Like, there's many ways that lead to Rome, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is also a part of healing, to have this ability, because what I'm referring to is radical acceptance. Radical acceptance.
Yeah, I know. It's a book by Tara Brach. There is a book.
Exactly, Tara Brach. Yes, yeah. Absolutely. And I met this book for around, I think, about 15 years ago, when I've been in my family, my near family, I had very serious psychological, or you say condition, not a psychological, but basically how do you call this syndrome? It's called borderline, and it's very hard to live with.
It's a personality disorder.
Disorder, yes, it's very hard to live with this close in your family. So I needed to learn
how to cope
about it, how to cope, and that's how I met this book, because this was one of my major inspirations. And I needed to use all the experience of my life that were acquired and trained throughout my life. And I found out that some of the techniques that I could use, the techniques of centering from martial arts. I've been using martial arts for the last 40 years. I started as a child, 15, 16 years old. And then I understood that it's not about, it's not the outer techniques, how to hit and how to do different things, but it's basically, through the years, I found out that there's some inner techniques. And that's the inner techniques of martial arts that helped me. And they are now helping my...
You remind me, my Taekwondo teacher used to say, it's not about the hands and the foot, it's about the do. It's about the Tao, I like it.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And, basically, I started with karate, which is very much outer techniques. And then I moved to Kung Fu, which is both, which is very balanced.
And more circular.
Exactly. And then I moved further to Aikido, and then further to Ki Aikido. And Ki Aikido is, it's the inner method. And many people, practitioners of martial arts, they're saying Aikido doesn't work. The techniques of Aikido they really don't work. And I'm saying they totally right. The techniques don't work. But what we are learning through Ki Aikido, it's it's the art of basically handling both your problems and the problems of the outer world. So they are balanced, and you know, we are a mirror of the outer world. So we are interdependent and interconnected.
Yeah.
And this is a very interesting thing, because basically, if something wakes up animosity and reactivity, then there's also a need to tackle this. So Ki Aikido is basically a technique of sensing love inside of you when something bothers you and you want to handle it. You handle it somehow with a deep feeling of love. And this is a radical thing that need to be understood first and trained. That's why the techniques by themselves, they don't work. But what works, it's our path. You're never a master. You're just walking a path. And this is that's why my programs, they are always called a dojo, an inner dojo. A dojo is the training room that you are training and that we're showing up every single day. So for me, it's that's the mastery, showing up and experiencing the path, experiencing the journey. And the mastery comes at higher and higher level, but it requires radical acceptance and respect.
That's
so,
fascinating.
and yeah, that's interesting things to talk about. Very, very interesting things to talk about, because
but Misha,
yeah,
let's make it less abstract and more down to earth. If someone now is hearing you and he has chronic pain, let's say very extreme pain that he experienced, and his immediate reaction, his immediate response in his inner being, in his body, soul, and spirit is to oppose it, to resist it, to not, of course, he doesn't love it naturally. How would you train him to soften within and to be more, as you say, compassionate, loving, respectful to what is?
Yeah, I understand. Well, I call my mental techniques or stress handling techniques for psychophysiological stress management. And psychophysiological means that learning to connect your emotions with your physiology and make some backwards engineering, and I'm an engineer. I call myself integrative health engineer. It can help us to train, because if we just meditating using the emotional handling techniques, if you know what I mean, it can be not enough in the situation where the outer world is dangerous and is toxic very often. That's and right. It creates a lot of fear, because when a situation creates a lot of fear, and that can be acute stress or chronic stress, you know, you react, your blood goes streams to the inner parts of your brain, and you are reacting automatically without paying attention to basically what's happening. Your reaction is automatic. So you are you cannot change your reaction. But if you are training diligently with through your physiology, and what I'm talking about connection of relaxation, structure, relaxation, breathing, and connection to the single point, what I call, this is a hara point.
Yes.
And then this connects to your automatic reactions. And if you're training it every day, you are much better off in a real stress situations. So this is called psychophysiological stress management. That's why, and I am very much inspired by the samurai, and they train those techniques, hara techniques. They train those their children, their boys from the 4 years, the age of 4 years. And
Yes.
so this is basically what I do. I mean, in order to handle very complex and very stressful situations, and that's what my clients are from these kind of people. They most of my clients on my very intensive programs that are made especially for brain tumors, and I'm sometimes taking some other oncology patients, they need to handle the fear. And this fear is constant, and this fear is ruling their lives. So in order to handle fear, you need to first use those techniques, and they are trainable. Psychophysiological stress management. Yeah. And then you need to understand, in order to handle it much more effectively, that there is a way, there is a path out of it. And this is awareness. So we have to have this awareness, and awareness comes from knowledge and practice. So, and it becomes more and more the awareness, you know, you can also train this. So that's another part of my work. It's a work of a teacher. It's a work of understanding that the cancer is a metabolic disease and it can be managed. And in order to do this, in order to apply this awareness, you need to take the responsibility in your own hands, 100%. Because according to this way of thinking, if cancer is a metabolic disease, then you cannot change it with the standard of care, invasive standards of care, because they are not changing the terrain. They are not changing the environment. They are not changing the milieu. They are only killing the symptoms. And what I want to do, I want to work with the roots of the problem. And that's the difference between my work and the work of doctors in the field of oncology, because they are using, invasive methods.
They're ignoring the terrain, as you say, and I love it. And I love it that you connect it that you connect health to the martial art philosophy, because really in the East, the martial arts philosophy is it's encapsulating everything. It's in education, it's in war, it's in business, it's in marketing, and it is in health. Like the traditional Chinese medicine is a lot about this circular, non-direct way to negotiate with the body, and to. So again, let's take it.
It's about listening. It's about listening, right? Negotiating.
Oh.
Very much. Excuse me. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's thought-provoking. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So again, but how can you take a person with let's not even go to the extreme situations of brain cancer. Let's take someone with an excruciating arthritis, pain in the joints, or fibromyalgia, or how actually do you help them respond to their situation, to what is with love? Like you said, the key Aikido. The key Aikido?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So the first thing here is to understand the nature of the disease, the nature of the diagnosis. And very often things like fibromyalgia and things like arthritis, they are chronic diseases. They are put this label as chronic diseases, incurable, basically. And what I'm saying, it doesn't have to be like that. So you have to understand that fibromyalgia is a part of it, at least, is a suboptimal function of the nervous system, which a part of it is chronic inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
There's many different aspects in this. In arthritis, you have to understand that you have the joint sacs where the permeability is wrong in the sacs, in the membrane of the sacs. There's an accumulation of some suboptimal substances in the synovial fluid inside of the sacs, right? And sometimes those suboptimal substances, they are causing pain inside of the sacs, and sometimes they're coming out of this membrane and causing like migratory arthritis, which is a very interesting thing that it goes from one, and I experience it many times with my clients. But here you have to understand, if you have a migratory arthritis, if you have migratory arthritis, it's a good sign, exactly. So if you have migratory arthritis, you are about to heal.
Right.
Yeah, but you have to know this. And this is actually what we call a reaction of sanogenesis. Sanogenesis is a creation of health.
How it is called?
Sanogenesis. Sanogenetic reaction. Sano.
Yeah, in Latin it is health.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a reaction of creating health. You have to understand that before you starting to apply different creams and liniments and all of those kind of things. And that's my part of work as a teacher. So when people understand this, and very often migratory arthritis can, in some situations, it can go for years. And in some situations, if people have the knowledge, it can only go for a month and then it stops.
Right.
And that's because of, for example, there's an aspect of the migratory arthritis that is called the dumping of basically from those sacs of the substances that are crystallized and that are very often people eat a very big portion, very big amounts of vitamin C, for example, in order they want to hear, without knowing that those are accumulating in the joint sacs and in form of
crystals. Crystals.
In form of crystals, yeah. I just forgot the word.
Maybe osteophytes or spurs.
No. I forgot this word. It's the oxalates.
Oxalates.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, oxalates, and they can be basically they can cause problems if you're in your sacs, but also they can cause your problems in your brain because they form crystal shards deep inside the brain, and those can basically extend to very different kind of problems. Also, for example, in excitotoxicity of the neurons, excessive excitotoxicity of the neurons. Basically, it can also lead to unexplicable neurological reactions and to the death of the neurons and very different things. So what we're talking about, oxalate dumping is a clearing reaction, and sanogenesis, it's a clearance reaction. Okay, so they can cause calcium oxalate kidney stones.
Yes.
They can accumulate in kidneys, and you know, they can bioaccumulate. Yeah. So this is very common across plant kingdom, in plants sold in grocery stores: spinach, rhubarb, starfruit, beets, nuts, chocolate, quinoa, and many different things. And very often people that are using, that understand, they want to detox and are using juicing. They use green smoothies. They can cause acute kidney damage. Why? Because of very acute accumulation of oxalates.
So let's go again to the mind over matter.
And excuse me, yeah, and I just want to sometimes, you know, when I'm talking about, it's a joke, when I'm talking about myself, sometimes I say, I have a Sakharoff syndrome. It's a combination of systemic inspiration and systemic exclamation. So it's a part of it.
Yeah, you are loaded with knowledge. So
yeah, and I want it out. Yeah, the knowledge wants out. So basically, I was talking about awareness, about the roots of the disease. So the next part is how to handle it when you know you don't have fear, or you have much less fear, because the fear is of unknown. That's right? But when you know, and you all of a sudden you get the sources cited from the scientific articles, and you connect the dots, the very big chunk of this fear, it suddenly evaporates, and you don't have, or you have much less fear. And the rest, the next chunk, we are training with what I call 5-stage rocket. And this is a combination of good body structure.
Yeah.
When you have good body structure, you can relax.
Because you are aligned. You are in
exactly.
The
when you don't have good body structure, you cannot relax, because relaxation is based on breathing, and your breathing muscles, your deeper breathing is not working, because your muscles are tense and trying to help you not to collapse.
From the outside.
When you start with relaxation, and there's when we start with the structure, there's many different aspects that I'm showing people how structure works. And on top of the structure, we can build the second stage, and this is of the rocket, in order for the rocket to be controllable in the flight and not to explode. So structure is the first one. The second stage of 5-stage rocket is relaxation, because then relaxation works seamlessly. Your antagonist muscles are relaxed, because the structures, your structure, your spine, and your very strategic position of your head is helping the muscles to relax. And if you are trying to watch out all the time, you're working or looking down to not to stumble, your structure will not work. You will never be able to relax. You will never be able to learn breathing. So structure first, relaxation there, and only then you can reprogram automatic breathing patterns, because that's exactly what the difference between Buteyko techniques and other breathing techniques is, that we can actually reprogram in a measurable way automatical breathing patterns, not breathing patterns while you are meditating with closed eyes. And that's the next level, level 4. That's basically the mental level, or the level of your focus. If your focus is on the point inside of you, and you are training this, and this is from samurai legacy, is called single-pointed attention, or one-pointed attention, or a single point, or one point, or hara.
Yeah, the Dantien.
Dantien, exactly.
And what is the fifth?
Then you can actually train it prolonged time. And that is how we reprogram automatical breathing patterns that also work when you are presented for a very strong fear vectors from the outside world. And that is the connection of physiology with psychology. So psychophysiological stress management. And the fifth level, it's the highest level. That's the level of radical acceptance.
Oh.
And it has another word, another name, the fifth level. It's called the fuck up level.
Right, I like it. Yes, amazing.
And the fifth level means that you have to resurrect, you have to re-erect your column, those stages from the start. You have to rebuild it, because when you are aware that you are off, you've fallen off the wagon, or you missed your focus point, you have to rebuild the rocket from the stage one, from structure, relaxation, breathing, one-pointed attention, and again, radical acceptance.
So the fuck up point, the radical, like being all the time aware what has.
So basically, where the awareness wakes you up, and you know that you are not in the meditative state anymore. And that's the difference between what we call dead presence or dead silence and living silence. And this is a terms from samurai, again, 600 years ago. They called dead silence meditation with closed eyes.
Yes.
This is dead silence. And the living silence is the same with open eyes.
Mm-hmm.
When you are able to hold the focus, notwithstanding the vectors from the outside world and their stress factors.
Wow.
This is called living silence.
This is high.
And this is the hara, and this is the hara point. And that this kind of meditation that I'm training my people through 12 months of the program and more. Now we have people on the program that have been on the program for 3 years in this dojo, and we are training through the understanding that the dojo doesn't have to be a physical location in the outside world. Dojo can be inside of you. It's called inner dojo. So you have your training room with you all the time.
Misha, I'm compelled to, I have to go and ask you more questions, but I'm compelled to go into the details of what you just portrayed now. So let's start with the structure. Do you know the Feldenkrais method? And
absolutely, I'm very inspired by Feldenkrais. Yeah.
So he has 4 lessons called ungluing the lungs, which he sees the lungs and actually the breathing as part of the structure. Like, and
absolutely,
if you look at the anatomy of the diaphragms, of the muscle of the breath, they are not balanced. The right one is very, very big. The left one is small, and upon exhaling, usually in most people, the right diaphragm pushes up, while the left little diaphragm moves very barely. So it creates many imbalances in the structure just by breathing. Do you get my point? Like if constantly we are not exhaling enough from the left side, and we are not inhaling enough in the right side, it creates imbalances between the left and the right. Of course, it's relatively. And so I wonder how, according your method of the 5 stages, how do you address the natural asymmetries that are innate in our body, like as I mentioned.
Okay. Yeah. You see, we have many different natural asymmetries, and during the course of the evolution, they've been handled for. I mean, they've been optimized for, and so basically, I'm not going into those details of the asymmetry. The only way where I'm going into the details of asymmetry, it's where I am training people with brain damage after the operation of the surgery. And we are training, basically doing some things with the arm, with the side of the body that is less developed. Okay. And this is, I know how to do it because I was using it to help myself once I had a very serious inflammation in my right arm, both because I'm playing many musical instruments, but also because I play a lot of tennis. So because of a wrong technique, I had a profound inflammation that was carpal tunnel syndrome, and inflammation of everything, I mean, in my arms.
Yeah.
And I needed to play with my left arm. And it's called ambidextrosity or ambidextrity. So I learned to be ambidextrous, which means that I needed to learn all the minuscule difference in sensitivity in my left arm, which allowed me to play tennis with my left arm. And that was a major learning. So, so being ambidextrous becoming ambidextrous requires a lot of work. And that's what I do. So that's the only thing that I take into consideration. When my experience shows that when we are training a 5-stage rocket, those small minuscule differences into between the lobes, how the lungs are made, the lobes of the lungs are taken care for. And when now I'm thinking, now when we're talking about this, I'm very much the second part when we're talking about the differences. It's where we are sleeping. So a very big part of my sleep hacking is about sleeping only on the left side, especially for people that are severely injured by something.
Yeah.
You know? And there's a lot of different aspects. I wouldn't go because basically talking about why on the left side, it will take me 1.5 hours to tell you the whole story. It's very crucial because the part of that night plays in the healing is very big, because it takes all the training that you made in one day into the next day. If you are not sleeping in the right way, all the work, or a big part of the work that you've done with training and with healing in one day, will not be taken over into the other day. That's what the optimal sleeping stands for.
Yes, like you are.
That's why sleep hacking. That's why sleep hacking is integral. It's a very integral part of my program. And I wrote many articles about it. If people are interested, they can go to sakharoff.com to blog and just search on sleep.
Yeah, sure. And we can put links to, I know that you have also a YouTube channel, and I saw some videos and very, very fascinating one. So Misha, we mentioned the asymmetries, the natural asymmetries in our body. So you say that this method will take care of them naturally without, you know, when you talked about your injury and the chronic inflammation that was in the, I was inquisitive to know why strengthen is it more wise is it wiser to strengthen the weak side, the less toned side, or is it wiser to dial back the overworking side? Like instead of strengthening your left side, you could put attention to relax the right side, to dial back the tonus.
I think it will be too complicated. You will use too much your brain to do this. And that's the problem. When you're starting using the brain, it's the fallacy. It's the dead alley. You're going down the dead alley. If you're starting to using your brain too much, you are going into control. And what I want with my program, you are going, and I know it sounds crazy because there's a lot of details I'm talking about. People would say, okay, it requires a lot of control. But my training is made in the way that we are going from control into sensitivity and allowing your body to act naturally. And this is very crucial.
Yeah,
this is very crucial. Yes, you need to learn many details, but in training, I'm saying you need to avoid 5 fallacies of measurement.
Yes.
On time, don't measure on time. On distance, don't measure on distance. On speed, don't measure on speed. On intensity, don't measure on intensity. Number of repetitions, don't measure number of repetitions. All of those 5, they lead to exacerbation of symptoms and to, in very many people that are prone to over-controlling, like professionals. There are many professionals on my courses because they understand my message. They have this mirror. Then, because I am professional, I have this professional attitude, and I've been professional in different areas. So I understand how to come there. And they can see it, so they can feel it. And that's why I have a lot of professionals in my programs. So they understand that those are things that are leading to overtraining effect, which exacerbates the symptoms of chronic inflammation.
Yeah,
overtraining effect is very crucial.
This striving,
in order to,
this striving.
Exactly, a striving part. You have to, and that's why radical acceptance is number 5, stage 5. Without understanding radical acceptance and accepting the stage you are in, the state you are in, you cannot heal. Why? Because you will overstrive all the time and you will keep the symptoms of reappearing different places and exacerbating themselves. So what I'm saying, instead of control of the 5 things, that's how people measure their movement on, upon. I say the only thing you have to measure upon. And that's the difference of my system to all the other systems.
Yeah, what is that?
It's the depth of relaxation and movement, nothing else.
This is Feldenkrais. You're talking the Feldenkrais philosophy, actually. He says the same.
I'm inspired by Feldenkrais. I just put some systems on it, and there's some other inspirations too.
Yeah.
So only one thing you have to measure upon. That's why we have to increase our sensitivity. So sensitivity, not in the negative way that pushes us into reactivity. No, not this sensitivity. Sensitivity to basically acceptance of the signals that body are sending us. So that's why I'm a proponent of natural movement. I'm a proponent of using the body weight.
Yes.
And that's why the body will realign with time. And that's a part of radical acceptance. It's called slow learning, slow healing. Healing cannot be fast. Well, some parts of healing can be, but popular saying is, if you use 50 years to impact your body, let's use this neutral word.
Yes.
Then you have to use 50 months to come into the healing mode and see the profound healing, which is a long time. But when people are ready, after trying for 30 years to deal with problems and to going into extremes, and extremes is, again, it's subjective thing, because some people thinking that things that I'm doing are also extreme, and they are when compared with the standard of life and standard of care, because there's many differences, and
Yeah.
it requires understanding and awareness and radical acceptance. But that's basically how real healing is. Real healing is stepwise. Real healing is not digital. It's analog, because we are wave devices, our bodies.
Yes.
And I'm a telecommunication engineer, so I understand this difference very much. So I'm just applying it.
Yeah, you take it to another level.
Yeah.
And how do
And you see, yeah. And what I want to say, you see, I healed myself first. So I have this experience.
Yes.
And this was only one of them. I had very serious problems with my heart that doctors could not find. And I've been waking up in the ambulance 5 times on the way.
Let's talk about your personal story, not about the member with
so
how old
the other part,
when did it start? Your physical
my physical problems started very early in my early childhood. Basically, that was the problem with the digestion. I have always had diarrhea, always had diarrhea. I didn't know what the normal digestion is about. So also, and there the doctor said that I have high acidity. And that was a very big fault.
Yeah.
Because it was not high acidity, it was low acidity in my stomach.
In the stomach.
And I understood it. I understood it only 40 years after, since then.
Yes.
So those 40 years, I had indigestion, I had stomach problems, I have diarrhea, and I've been, before my heart problem started, I've been in the hospital twice. And they said that it's not a cancer in your gut. It's just you have a oversensitive gut, IBS. Basically, they said IBS, oversensitive gut. And what do I have to do? Oh, you just eat more fiber, they said. And I mean, that was another fatal, wrong advice.
That's right.
So in my life, there were many wrong advices that I experienced. And the advice after the 5th time I came to the hospital, after I collapsed on the tennis court where my pulse, and I've been measuring everything. So my pulse went from 167, which is pretty low for a hard exertion like intensive tennis is. Normally, the normal rate would be 180 or 190 for my age and for my level of, but I was overtraining, so my heart rate was much lower. I had a resting heart rate of 29.
Wow. Is it normal? Is it
No. You see, in the Guinness records is 28, the lowest resting heart rate. My heart rate sometimes were 29, so I overtrained a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the capacity.
When I came, so I found out afterwards what it was, a part of it at least. So when I collapsed on the tennis court, I could see afterwards on the readings that my heart rate went from 167 to 20 to 30 in 40 seconds.
Oh.
And that's how heart stops, basically. And it was a shock. It was twice it happened on court. It was shock to the people that are played on court very much.
Why did it happen?
Because they thought I would die. It happened once on the mountain bike track, and it happened once at my home, and once it happened in at the cemetery. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I've been taken 5 times to the hospital with the nearly heart stop, but it did not stop. It was just, it went down all way.
It's
And
like diabetic people have from hyperglycemia to hypoglycemia. So
yes, exactly.
the steep of the graph is causing because it's so dramatic.
It's very dramatic, and it's that hypoglycemia was a part of it, I think. Yeah, I think. And the other part of it, and I started researching actually seriously after the doctors, after the 5th time in the hospital. I asked them, but please, it's the 5th time. What do I do?
Right.
I've been wearing halters and everything. They couldn't find out, and they say, you are perfectly healthy. You have, I mean, your arteries are wide, clear. Your heart is very strong. You're showing crazy results on the bike. We don't know what it is. And they said, what do I do? And see, next time you'll come, we'll find out. And I say, excuse me, next time, and if I'm coming already cold at the hospital, what will, and then I understood that I have to take full responsibility.
That's
like
right.
100%, and find out. And I found out that it basically was overtraining effect, and I stressed my body too much.
You
I
exhausted
was measuring too much.
Yes.
I was exhausted my body, maybe even on the mitochondrial level. And it's also another very interesting view, but I have a couple of seminars, 2-hour seminars about the mitochondrial part, also with a very interesting scientist. It's available online, only in Russian, but I can tell another time. I can take another time, talk another time about it. But what basically happens is it's an interesting thing called open empty heart syndrome. It's basically in the difference between training your upper body and your lower body, and it creates some dysfunctions.
Yeah.
And if the very radical, very intensive training prevails, and then I understood my wrongdoings over for my own body, and I corrected it, and now I've never been in the hospital for the last 10 years. So
you were a very striving, overachieving person as an athlete.
Yes.
And this led to...
And in the last 5 years, 6 years, I didn't have diarrhea. And that's another part. It's a nutritional part, very much. So no diarrhea. And when I'm talking about, how do you measure chronic inflammation? How do you measure the permeability of the gut lining? And you say, people say you have to have basically you have to have some molecules in your body, and then we measure how many molecules are coming through the urinary tract, and
yes,
it doesn't have to be so expensive and so complex at all. You know what? The only thing we need is to see the toilet paper. Do you have miscoloring of toilet paper after the emptying?
Yes, the evacuation. Yes.
If you have, you have to work. And this effect is called no soiling effect. So I had no soiling effect for 5 years now. And no soiling effect.
What is it?
No soiling effect. The paper remains white every time you go to the toilet. And it's called the act of defecation. So your stool is coming out.
Yeah, this is a good sign.
Yeah, this is a good sign. It means that you have most probably you have no gut permeability, no gut permeability have to be there, but it has to be optimal. Not leaky gut. So you have an optimal gut permeability, and the tight junctions between the cells of the lining of the intestinal tract is normal. It's not like this.
So actually you are talking about a full evacuation of the gut.
Full evacuation of the toxins, and only things that are coming through, it's the things that have to come through. Like part of the fat digestion and all of those things, fatty acids. Things like that.
I agree. The stools
so the things can be done more simple, not too simple, but simple enough.
Yeah, that's right. So tell us also about the inflammation that you had was it the brachial plexus, the whole
it was a carpal tunnel syndrome here, and but it was the whole range of fascia connections from my neck. I had pain from my neck all the way here to my fingers.
How much time did it last?
It lasts years, and I trained and I tried so many different things.
And did it affect the fingers as well?
Oh yes. It affects the fingers. It affects it affects lots of things. It affects sensitivity of fingertips, and
usually it is a problem of the misshaping of the disbalance in the rib cage. Many problems in the neck come from the misalignment of the.
Absolutely. But you see, I'm playing many different instruments, and I used to play guitar. I'm playing guitar. I just went from Cyprus. I recorded solo album of my solo guitar, and when you play guitar, you are always misaligned most of the time, because you are looking at the fret. When you playing some very
even if you are not looking, you're not.
No. If you are not looking, the system is different, because it depends very much, and that's how I came to this understanding. Basically, the problem started with looking at the fret and this misalignment that came from controlling the fret all the time. So, and the same thing on the piano, controlling the notes. So what I did, I bought a blinds. So I started training with blinds, and this is a part of radical acceptance. You have to accept all the faults that will prevail.
And you did something else
all the time.
When it's like you cut the eyes. So
I'm cutting the eyes, so I'm promoting the sensitivity, and I'm promoting a good structure. So basically, I'm sitting like that.
And you relax the muscles in the neck too.
I relax the muscles in the neck. I get it's like dancing tango.
Yes.
Like dancing tango, basically the same. And the same way I'm playing double bass, it's just a little bit different. So you have to dance tango. It takes two to tango, you and your instrument, you and your partner. So, and that's where you get the, and then we working with your understanding of your core. And I have many weeks of teaching about the core and how to train the core and how to connect the breathing and how it affects your ability to digest also. So I made actually a protocol, five-stage rocket, I already told you, and another protocol is called the STAR protocol, the integrative protocol, where I connect the dots of breathing and nutrition in acquisition of energy. If you imagine the star, so you have this part of the star is about acquisition of energy from breathing and from nutrition. And then the rest of the star is actually a triangle. It's like in Da Vinci Da Vinci wrote basically based on this picture, a Vitruvian man or a Vitruvian woman. Okay, so the triangle, it's about, it's called allostatic resilience triangle. And we have homeostasis, which is our balance of the inner balance of our physiology, right? And our ability to maintain this balance. And allostasis is this balance in the connection of the outer world, in the environment. So how good are you at maintaining your homeostasis when affected by the stress vectors from the outside? It's called allostasis. So this triangle is the triangle of allostatic resilience. So you are resilient in a mental way, and if you are resilient in the mental way, then you can train to maintain a perfect balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic. And those are two legs. Parasympathetic, this is immunity, is controlling immunity, and sympathetic is controlling, that's the physical part. That's your ability to physically run and to guard yourself from the vicious physical aspects of the environment. And this one is your ability to guard from the other inner aspects of the vicious. You see, that's your immunity. So your mental part is basically is able to create a perfect switch between what the physical, that is called acute stress, and the chronic stress.
So the parasympathetic, according to this theory of yours, the parasympathetic is about the chronic.
Opens up for immunity. Yes, yes, parasympathetic. Well, you cannot say this. You see, there's nothing called chronic stress in our physiology. There's only acute stress. But the problem of our world is that what prevails and what affects our health is mostly chronic stress.
That's right.
If we train acute stress, it's very crucial. It's very crucial to train. And you can juggle, you can do pushing hands in Tai Chi, and this is a training of acute stress response, which is very crucial in healing. Also in breathing work, in breath work, you need to train your sympathetic, but in some peculiar, special way.
Yeah, it's
so you don't overburden.
It is like you bring your body. It's like intermittent fasting. It's like you create stressors that are good for the body.
Exactly, and you have to train to accept them and to deal with them, and then your body, and we're talking about alignments, then your body will align naturally.
So
I
am curious about the parasympathetic branch that you mentioned. Did I understand you right when you said that the parasympathetic is about how we tackle, how we address the inner stressors, the demons from within, while the sympathetic is the stressors from the outside?
Yeah, but parasympathetic is actually why, because you see, the balance of sympathetic and parasympathetic is about a redistribution of blood flow in different parts of your body, in your organs. So that's what it is about. If when we are presented for stressors and they emerge as acute and then they transform with time to a low level of chronic stress, this low level, it affects redistribution of your blood and from, for example, from the frontal lobes towards the acute stress reactions that are handled in the deeper and in the rare parts of the brain. This is not good, because that's where we are coming. You know, for example, in the educational system, we are going and to answer a question from the teacher, and we are blanked out. We don't remember things.
How did you heal?
Because the blood is we are in the fight and flight. The frontal lobes doesn't work anymore. This is a blood redistribution.
When you talk
And with
about
immunity, it's the same.
when
With
you
immunity,
talk about,
it's the same.
when you talk about the blood redistribution, the association that came to my mind is phenomena like the Raynaud's disease, people with cold hands.
Raynaud's disease, absolutely, yeah.
So
cold fingertips. Yeah,
yeah, and extremities. It can be the ears.
the extremity.
So it is like the blood is not reaching the periphery.
I had Raynaud's disease. I had the Raynaud's symptoms myself. So I know a lot about it.
So how did you cure?
So it's I cured by thermogenesis. That's the first one, and then by breathing, because you see the smallest blood vessels that are coming to the capillaries, they also affected of this vascular control of opening, that are subject to be controlled by carbon dioxide and nitric oxide.
Exactly.
And we have on the level of arteries, arterioles, but also in the capillaries, in the smallest one. That's the same thing.
So Buteyko helped you with the Raynaud's?
Very much. No, not only Buteyko, but also thermogenesis, and I will tell you about this. Okay. That's in a second, a combination. So basically, it's the vasodilation. It's called vasodilation, yes. The dilation of the vessels. Okay, and so this is vasodilation. The smooth musculature is controlled by smooth muscles around the vessels that are wound around the vessels, and it's controlled by the hormones, by the hormone called nitric oxide, and by the parahormone that is called carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is not a waste product; it's a parahormone. That's the hormone that is a part of the metabolic process. It's called parahormone.
Yes.
A hormone, that's the hormone that is made directly to affect different functions in the body. So that is what this function is controlled, but also in the capillaries. And that's some new knowledge, basically 10 years old knowledge, that we have also the vasodilatory effect in the capillaries that are working also with carbon dioxide and nitric oxide as the main hormones, parahormones, main chemical substrates. So, and the second part is thermogenesis. Mm-hmm. And I can show you one little thing, just a second.
Yeah. Yes, sandals.
Yeah, and that's basically my only footwear. Also in the winter.
And I
also
see
in the snow.
And I see that it is drop zero too, barefoot.
It's drop zero, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's because a part of what I'm teaching so-called forefoot walking. Not only forefoot running, but also forefoot walking. It's a part of the structure. You have to be, and that's the whole, I made 3 hours workshop in 2019 in Toronto on the Breathing Educator Symposium, where I presented what my 5-stage rocket and how it can be trained by forefoot walking. You have to be able to drop the forefoot by relaxation only through breathing. And that is
fascinating.
Totally unique system.
How did you connect? How did you connect the idea of breathing with the forefoot?
Because well, it's the part of the workshop, and because it's only possible when your diaphragm is dominating in the breathing movement. It's not possible when your chest breathing is dominating.
Or from the neck. Oh, I see. So,
so it's a part of it, you see. And what happens basically with thermogenesis, that I was ill with flu like 5 to 10 times a year all my life. And I was having 2 pairs of socks and a lot of clothes. And I was always having first cotton socks and then the wool socks and then some, you know, slippers, you know,
yes,
at home, always wearing in the winter, always. And then I understood that I need to train. When I started learning all of those things, started understanding the value of brown fat and beige fat, creating is a process of thermogenesis. I said to myself, it's a part of work. So I removed the slippers first, and then I removed the woolen socks. It took years for me. And then I removed at home, I removed cotton socks. So I was barefooted at home. And then I started removing clothes, and it was in parallel with breathing retraining, because then I started to understand how can I control my warmth through breathing. So it helped very much.
It's like the Tibetans, they do the tumo breathing.
Tumo breathing, yes, absolutely. But it's a little bit different. Tumo breathing is more very much, that's Wim Hof was inspired by tumo breathing, I think. And but it's not quite.
Which is very different from the Buteyko.
It's very different from the Buteyko, and I also wrote articles about that. It's another direction I'm talking. They are training the sympathetic, but the problem in our world that sympathetic is pretty much dominant already.
No, I don't understand when you say thermogenesis according to your way. What do you do?
Well, I'm creating a natural process for body is not responding with fear to the cold. And it's not through tumo breathing. It's not through hyperventilations. It's actually through relaxation and lowering the ventilation rates, which affects
how do
carbon dioxide and nitric oxide.
Do you do it with the Buteyko or with the mind? How do you?
With Buteyko and with the mind. So, and then I started, you know, right now, the last 5 years, this model is the only one shoe I'm using. And this is a 0 Z trail model. Yes. 0 shoes, Z trail. So that's my shoe number 7 of this model. Mm-hmm. And you see, it's very new. It's totally new. Mm-hmm. You see here. I can show you the worn out one. Just a second. And this is a worn out one, and you can see the difference right away. Oh. It's totally worn out.
Yes.
And here it has a hole here, you see, in the plastic.
Yeah. Of your big toe knuckle.
No, actually, no, it's not big toe. It's the opposite. Actually, just a second. Because when you're doing forefoot walking, you are enabling also a side of the foot, not only forefoot and back foot, but also
pronate. Yes, you don't pronate.
And you are realigning very much. I was all my life I was like this, walking like this, and then with time I realigned. Now I'm able to walk like this, parallel, with parallel foot. So it's a very deep realignment process that we push into, but push without force. We push by the natural, by connecting the dots, basically. So that's my idea, that we need to connect the dots and to create the process that will realign everything into a place with time.
So when you go barefoot, it's like the movement in the martial arts, like a cut.
Yes.
But we
Yes.
were trained, all our life, we were trained to put the heel in front of the...
I know.
We were trained to go like this, to flex the ankle and then articulate it. So what you are teaching people is to go like cats, like...
Yeah, but without exaggerating, it starts with understanding the mechanics of walking and relaxation, not by exaggerating the movement. We are actually the movement are small. And when I'm doing the workshops about, and I did it in Israel several times, actually in Haifa, I did workshops. So it was mostly, but it's a long time ago, it's 5-6 years ago. It was mostly about breathing, but also about walking was a part of it. But I did not know those aspects then.
I wonder if this method of forefoot walking can heal plantar fasciitis.
That's what it does.
Really?
Exactly. Yeah,
because
that's what it does with time. Yes.
It reminds
because
you shorten the foot. It's like you are shortening, you are moving the foot towards the ankle, and you are not creating the strain in the fascia. This is
exactly. And that's basically what we are doing. So we have to alter our foot strike.
So when you walk now, when you walk in the street, you walk like this, or you do all kinds of variations?
I can combine. It requires a switch. For me, I have to tell myself, okay, now you do forefoot walking. And then I can do it. I can switch seamlessly now. I can, when I'm running, I'm only doing forefoot running only. Yeah. And I play now barefoot. I've been, for 4 years now, I've been playing barefoot tennis on hard court and on the clay.
Doesn't it create metatarsalgia, like sometimes when the... I love barefoot myself,
but it requires, look, this is a very crucial component I need to warn about. You need to take it very slowly. It took many years for me. So this is also part of this radical acceptance of the slowness of the process. So your body has to be ready to it. Otherwise you will create problem with Achilles tendon. Right. And that's why people very much overwork. And that's what I'm saying. Do not perform on those 5 things. Perform only on one: strength, depths of relaxation in movement. You have to understand
the ease in the movement.
Exactly. So you have to very long time just try to make very small steps and to relax and let the forefoot touch the ground first and accept.
And what happens? What happens to the diaphragm when you do it? Does it?
Well, that's the thing. The diaphragm relaxes, because this is only possible when you connect the dots. It's only possible with a relaxed diaphragm.
Does it mean that the diaphragm moves up or down?
No, you don't control this. The diaphragm goes where it goes. It's like in Frank Zappa. Remember this song, Jewish Princess? It has a nose that knows where it goes. That's the same thing with the diaphragm. It has the nose that knows where it goes. That's about diaphragm also.
I think it might work not only on the diaphragm, but on other domes in the body that make...
Absolute. But so when you re-erect your structure through 5-stage rocket from the structure, relaxation, breathing, and those 3 are crucial, because training number 4 takes years. That's one single point of attention. It's the task for the rest of the life, and as a radical acceptance too. Those 2 are trained throughout the life, but those first 3 can be trained during 1 year. That's the whole my idea with 12 months program.
So Misha, you were talking in this talk about two major components, the more tangible things like forefoot walking and diet, no oxalates, etc., and the acceptance, the mind over matter issues. What, in your opinion, from your experience with people and with your own personal experience, which one is more important? Which one will create more? I'll tell you a story. I have a friend in India, and she had rheumatoid arthritis, and she was bedridden for 18 months. And she started to do forgiveness work. She started to forgive people in her life, and imagining a black cord that she cuts between them, etc. And within 45 days, she healed. And she tells me, you know, I made any modality, all kinds of diets, Ayurvedic, TCM, you know, all kinds of diets and pills and supplements and Ayurvedic potions, etc. And nothing helped like the mind.
That's absolutely agree with her. I absolutely agree. But that's another thing that we are talking a lot in my program. That's the connection of emotional part. Radical acceptance is basically that's many different things. You have to understand the psychology. You have to understand the source of your emotions, but you also have to very often that will be helped very much if you connect with spirituality. And as people understand spirituality in very different things.
Yeah.
So it's a major area to talk about, because spirituality can be also a religion. It doesn't have to be a religion. It can be religion. It can be different things. So absolutely. So this is a power that connects it also to very much into difference between genetics and epigenetics. And we can talk a lot about this. It's very important. Absolutely. And the more I practice as engineer and practitioner of physiology with my clients, the more I understand, because I'm working with third and fourth stage of cancer, that without this dimension, we cannot do good results.
So if you had to instill one insight of your work and your wisdom and experience, and someone with a chronic condition, a debilitating chronic condition hear you, what piece of advice would you give them? If they are now in despair, in the doom and gloom, when they have no hope, when they don't believe that things can change, what would you tell them?
When the people, it depends where people are understanding what spirituality is. If they had spirituality in their life before, if they had, they need to go there. If they don't, they can start with the visualization techniques, like, for example, Jose Silva techniques, which can connect the physiology with the spirituality.
It's going to the alpha waves, right?
Well, I don't know. It's going different places. It's going different places. But we need to find, in some situations where we are seriously sick, we need to find some shortcuts to go there, to come there. And we cannot not be pushed there. So in radical acceptance, you cannot push this. Again,
so
you have to be there.
Why radical acceptance is so crucial to the healing process?
Because you have to detach from the goals, basically. Because without detaching from the goals, you will be in the performer mode. And that's what killed you in the first place.
Can you repeat it? It's beautiful what you said now, that when you diffuse yourself from the goals, it is the...
You have to detach yourself from the goals. And that's why instead of the goals, you need to go to the visions instead, because visions are softer. Visions are much less defined. And I'm telling like a international certified project manager. And You know, we are taught that as engineers and project managers that the goals are the shit and they have to be SMART, S-M-A-R-T,
Right.
where M is for measurable, and all of this, and it has to be attainable also. And this system is totally different, because when the visions then can seem unattainable from the start, they can be so beautiful that it seems unattainable, and they have to be very vaguely definished and described and measured, basically. So they have to become like those small, beautiful, very unpalpable things somewhere here, your visions. And what the visions do, they create relaxation and joy, and you have to start imagining and you start visualizing, and that can connect the dots of physicality and non-physicality, duality and non-duality, emotional and spiritual. So it's hard to define it more precisely, but it's basically things that are coming from practicing. So,
but do you believe that nothing is impossible according to your philosophy? Do you believe that
nothing is impossible? Otherwise, you know, I cannot teach people that are coming with glioblastoma and are given 6 months to live. I need to open them for this possibility, for everything is possible, because that's where they are.
Do you believe that any malady can be healed?
It's hard to say, you know, but basically I need to be open. I need to remain open all the time, and that's the thing. I need to sometimes, well, always. I need to in every situation. And our world is in a more different, is in a more pretty special situation right now. So we need to really find our internal resources, and we need to find this one point. We are pushed into the importance, understanding the importance of one point in much bigger extent than before, because we need to survive basically in this world. It's much more toxic and non-human somehow than before.
So this issue with the neck and the nerves here and the circulation and the Raynaud's, and how did you heal it eventually?
Well, things fell into place basically, and you know, that's like all the when you are doing some particular things every day, and you are returning and just polishing, like in Karate Kid.
So no, but I mean, which modality did you use to heal it?
I used Buteyko. I used relaxation. I used changing my mind for not to wanting to reach the goals tomorrow, but saying, okay, if I did this striving and performing and reach this suboptimal state where I'm about to die, then I did something wrong. And I need to do, if things didn't work this way, I need to do it in a different way. I think Einstein says this. So I needed to change my mind totally. And I need to understand some other things, and I need to practice some other things. And those other things were basically less intensive.
My last question to you is, what is the role and the weight of inner self-talk, the word of the weight of language, and I mean the inner talk, the self-talk in the healing process, and how
it's very big, because inner talk connects us into daily practice. And for me, it has to be practical too. So affirmations, reminders, very crucial. In my world, it works with reminders. You have to, when I made some new thing, I took the yellow, you know, the sticky notes, and I put a big black point in it. And it was all the places in my house where I sit in the grand, in piano, it was black point. Where I used to sit and practice guitar, 1 point. Where I washing dishes, 1 point. I'm in toilet. I'm exaggerating.
Yeah,
1 point.
No, it's
my working place, 1 point. So I needed to come back to the practice of 1 point.
Yeah.
The hara all the time. In the car, 1 point. And those are reminders. And also the reminders, I have a very practical one, and it's called this is the app, and it's called an insight timer. An insight timer. This is a meditation app that you can have some sound of the gong that you like, of your liking, and the vibration. So I take my mobile, I put it on the flight mode. I put the meditation gong that rings every half an hour and wakes me up into hara in my somewhere on the back pocket, for example, and it wakes me up every half an hour from and I'm always outside of the hara. I'm always somewhere. My focus is outside of my body, and then it comes inside of my body, and then outside. So it's daily training for many years, and then from a period of half an hour, it became a day, an hour. And then it became, so it's like I trained from 8 to 20. So 12 hours every hour. And before it was 24 times every half an hour. And then it was less and less. And then I removed the stickers. And after many years.
Yes, because it becomes ingrained.
So it becomes ingrained that you're coming back to the hara all the time. And still I'm returning from not being there to being there. But I can do it sometimes when something stresses me. It's like a red lamp is writing, alarm lamp. Hara, missing, hara, missing. On the court, in tennis, when I'm pushed into opening the mouth, I know I am doing too aggressive style, and I'm coming back to the hara, and everything becomes easier in a mental part, because tennis is a mental game.
And do you sleep with a masking tape on in order not to do brow?
I do still.
Which
yes.
tape? Which tape?
The tape. It's called micropore, just a normal micropore from Johnson. Johnson & Johnson.
And it's not toxic to the,
might be, everything is toxic in this world. You need to find a balance, because if you're thinking about toxicity all the time, it makes a toxic feedback in your body.
So do you think this is one tip that you can give our listeners to sleep with a closed mouth? And
absolutely. That's the easiest thing to do. Yeah, absolutely. That's the easiest thing to do. You just have it. I have it right inside my bed, and always traveling, I have this micropore with me.
So in continuation to the last question, what was your inner self-talk when you were ill, and now when you have, I don't want to use the word control, but when you feel that you have choice and that you are on top of your health?
Well, basically, it was the interest that it was interesting. It was interesting to, it's again, you need to see the world with inquisitiveness and as a researcher. So basically, you need to ignite this spark, because then it will become natural. You will not need your inner self-talk, because if your inquisitiveness, it will be a vision and not a task. It will be natural and not necessarily measured.
Mm-hmm. Well, Misha, I am really grateful for you're so full of knowledge and insights, and
thank you.
And I am sure most of them come not only from books, but from the real body, from your own suffering back then. So
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
so thank you so much for
Thank you, Annette, for the beautiful
talking.
questions. And
No.
it was so great. You know, every time you are pushed into opening up and, you know, formulating some things, we're dancing tango. It takes two to tango.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
To Jewish minds, I think.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. But
Yeah, and you know, I used to come to Israel twice a year. And now I'm missing Israel for 2 years. Now, last time it was in February 2020.
Yeah,
Just before everything closed. Just before that.
Always welcome. By the way, what's your take on vaccinations? Which is a very
you don't want to know.
Yeah, no, I do. I know.
Okay, but if you have to, yes, you can guess.
I can
guess.
That's the. I can guess, and I agree too.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, and I wish you nothing but joy and health in the rest of your journey. And
thank you, my dear. And I just I moved from Denmark to Bulgaria now, so I'm in Bulgaria.
Oh.
Now, yeah, you see, that's where I live. Oh, just a second, isn't it? Oh, that's another camera. I thought so. That's.
How nice! This is Sofia.
No, this is Black Sea. That's the sea there. Oh. That's the Black Sea.
The Black Sea.
Yeah. So that's on the north. That's on the Black Sea coast of Bulgaria. Yeah. So I'm very happy here, and I'm very much against what the government is doing in Denmark. So when the Ministry of Health took a political decision to vaccinate 11 to 15 years old against the meaning of the organization, of professional organization of Danish pediatric doctors and the doctors, I understood that this is seriously a violation of everything. So I decided to move from this country.
Yeah, but it's all over the world now, unfortunately.
Yeah, but the difference in Bulgaria is that they don't give Bulgarians are different. They are
yes, and they also helped the Jews in the Second World War.
That's the only country that really did. That's the only country that really did. Yeah.
We all have a soft spot in the heart for Bulgaria.
Yeah, it's great country. It's great country. I love it.
Nice people too.
Yeah, nice people. I connect very much. And my ex-girlfriend, she was half Bulgarian. She was Israeli, but she was half Bulgarian mother that came in 1409 to Israel. So I understand the heart, the Bulgarian heart, a little bit better after that experience.
Thank you so much, Misha. Bye.